They might be dead, so.
Yes. It's
For minutes.
Thank you for inviting me here today. This is my annual trip to SGA to talk about the campus budget and what we're thinking for police for next year as it relates to our current situation. So we also have Director of Dining and Director of Residential Life here today. They will also speak to their particular units that have fees related to their operations. I am going to move along kind of quickly, but at the end of the presentation, I'll make sure you get a copy and I'll send it to you guys so you have a copy if you want to go back to it. And we can certainly go back to any slide that you have questions on, but I got a bunch here that I need to go through as does Melissa and Chris. So you can just be patient while we get through this. That'd be great. And then we'll stay as long as we need to answer any of your questions. So that's kind of how we'll roll here. Here's the general outline of what I'm talking a little bit about today, the fee setting process. I'll talk a little bit about some more budget issues, talk about tuition and fees. And I want to emphasize, we only have a preliminary fee schedule together. This is not definite, nothing has been approved. So we're still very much in the initial stages of the process. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Then dining and residential life will provide their overviews as well. So for those of you that are not aware, we have really an annual process we use to set fees for the next year. The very first thing we do is we have a presentation to the Board of Trustees, and we talk about kind of planning assumptions. I mean, that has already happened for this year. That happens usually in October. We want to make sure that the board understands what we're thinking, and we understand what the board is also on the same page with us about. So this circle goes around as many times as it needs to. Then we start to model out different scenarios, which we're actually doing right now. So there are different assumptions we make in terms of cost increases, revenue projections, and what the state will be doing in terms of providing us funding. We also incorporate enrollment and retention analysis in our planning. We have to wait till the fall is pretty much wrapped up to know where we stand. And so we're actually doing that as well. Campus fee proposals have been submitted. The cabinet this process of starting to take a look at those. No decisions have been made or no recommendations have been made either. I'll talk more about the specifics of that later on in the presentation, but at the very beginning of this. Then we can set up a budget line that will refine based on the assumptions we're making in this planning cycle. So once we have an idea of what we think is going to happen, we'll start to narrow in on the scenario we think is most likely for next year. And then that becomes the basis of how we'll build the budget. For those of you that have not been around too long, you'll note that we have had some enrollment challenges in the recent fiscal years. You'll notice that at one point in FY21, we were up to about 4,800 students. And that has ticked down a bit, but we're now settling in at anywhere between 42 and 4,300 full-time or 400 students. The red bar is the DGCE enrollment, which is an FTE enrollment. And the blue bar is the full-time undergraduate student enrollment. So we're running at about 4,200, give or take, in any 1 year. So the good news is it's kind of flattened out in a steady state situation, and that's good. We don't see things really changing too much unless there are variables we can't manage. So that's sort of where we are on the enrollment picture. A question that is probably good to understand from your point of view is where does the money come from to run the university? The university budget is about $130 million all in. And what we try to do for these kind of presentations is we present the cents per dollar. It's easy to better understand how the money comes in and then convert it to this model. So what's interesting about this analysis is that 34 cents out of every dollar is coming from the state. So the state gives us $42 million. So as a percent or as a dollar of revenue, that translates into 34 cents per every dollar of revenue we receive. Tuition fee revenue, which is what you folks pay for, you pay tuition, you pay fees, that equates to about 29 cents on the dollar. So I think what's interesting is the state support has now increased while the tuition and fee increase has decreased in terms of the fewer number of students coming to the institution. So what we're really saying is we're more reliant on the state funding than we have been in the past. When the level was higher, we were generating more tuition and fee revenue, and the student population was lower. This is now starting to reverse. And you can see how the other categories going up. Res Life produces 13 cents on the dollar. Dining produces 8 cents on the dollar, all the way down. How do we spend our money? Same kind of analysis. On every dollar, the biggest expense to the university is compensation and benefits. So my salary, all the salaries of full-time employees, part-time employees, student employment, and the benefits associated with those salaries, the university has to pay a portion of. So, for example, the benefit rate currently is 38 cents on the dollar. So if I get paid $1, I also have to budget for 38 cents on top of my salary because that's what the state benefit rate is, and what we get charged for the state benefit. So a salary dollar for a full-time employee, you have to add another 38 cents of the salary dollar. So that is the biggest expense. Hope that's not a surprise. We have about 700-ish full-time employees on the campus and a couple hundred adjunct professors and many other part-time employees as well. So you can also see how this plays out with regard to revenue or the spending side and residents' life and value services. And those are the two places we'll concentrate on tonight. Very small amounts associated with utilities and debts. What do we challenge budgetarily? What's happening on that front? Enrollment is always a moving target. The way that I describe enrollment management is it's a little bit art and science. It's a little bit both. If you really step back and look at what we're trying to do, we're trying to predict low behavior as an interim student, 8 or 9 months in advance of fall semester. And that's a very hard thing to do because college selection is not also an exact science. You guys choose colleges for different reasons. So we're trying to estimate what that looks like in a year. Retaining students is also very important to the university. Average from fall to fall, we retain 72% of freshman students from fall to fall. So in reverse comment, we're losing about 28 students out of 100. In terms of retaining those students. So this is a very common issue among higher education. We're right in the middle of the path with everybody else. All of our state institution state students in Massachusetts have about the same kind of retention. So our goal is to increase that and to retain more students, which will provide budget relief and more consistency in enrollment planning. You do subsidize the debt that was associated with building the newest residence hall facilities on campus. Currently, the outstanding debt on the two newest buildings, which is a new hall, University Hall, equates to about $50 million. So we pay a portion of that every year over a period of 30 to 40 years, and that's built into our budget, and we pay that every year. You can look down the rest of the list. Generally speaking, expenses increase from year to year. I'll talk about that when we get to CPI. The cost of buying stuff increases every year. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. I'm sure you know enough about deferred maintenance. You guys have spent a lot of time cultivating the legislature and making a case for why it's important to invest in facilities on college campuses. Our deferred maintenance increases every year. We're not able to invest enough to reduce the backlog of deferred maintenance. which the state is trying to address through the GRIDE Act. So, and I've been talking about that if you're interested. The GRIDE Act is a huge uh, initiative to provide funding to all the public universities and colleges in Massachusetts, and that will help us create this. We continue to seek efficiencies and cost reductions wherever we can. We went through a variety of exercises this year on that. And there was also an impact on universities from state and federal funding. And the federal landscape is changing drastically as we speak, and that will have a trickle-down effect on how the state manages their finances and in turn how they provide funding to us. And it's unknown right now what that is, but we're monitoring it very carefully. You don't just sit back and say we let things happen. We're aggressively trying to get ahead of the curve as much as we can. The president is really adamant about innovating uh, innovation on the campus. She provides funding to faculty and staff for specific projects that can generate more revenue to the university, that advances the university's reputation, or is a sound project that has a good return on investment. So we need to really focus on innovative ways of dealing with it. Strategic planning and capital investments are also opportunities to invest money where it's needed the most and to align our funding with the strategic plan. There is quite a bit of funding that the state is providing on financial aid, the Mass Grant, the Mass Grant Plus, and we're continuing to make those dollars available, and I believe those will continue to float. We also received about $1.5 million to invest in improving how we train and support students through doing counseling for students, through advising, through mentoring. There's a whole complex set of programs that are set up through academic affairs that will help support students from entering college through the graduate. We talked about the GRIDE Act a little bit, and you're focusing very heavily on retention. If we increase our retention rate by 1%, that generates about $500,000 in additional revenue for the campus. So it's really an important piece of our budget planning and opportunity. I know you may not be able to read this, so I'm just going to cite a couple of numbers and give it smaller than I thought. But if you look at this chart compares all the state universities in the tuition fees. And the point of this chart is to show you that Western State is kind of right in the middle. We're not really higher than half the schools, we're not really lower than half the schools. We're pretty much right in the middle. Now, this data is only accurate as for comparison purposes through FY25. The Department of Higher Education has not published FY26 rates, although obviously we know what our rate is. So if you look down the chart to the right, the 1 year change from 24 to 25 was about 3% for most of the schools. In 26, we increased the rates by 3.6%. It would have been less than that, but for those of you that have been here, we rolled and fitness fee and wellness fee into the base rate. So there's no longer kind of an opt-out or opt-in. We just said most of the students are buying this anyway. We just folded into the tuition and into that one. I would note that we're within like 1% of the average, so we're all right in the middle there. And when you start comparing us to like UMass is 28% higher than Westwood State University. So it does cost a bit more if people are being asked and if they go to a public university or free. In terms of historical fee increases, if you look at this chart, I took the average of the last 5 years, and over the last 5 years, our fee increases have averaged about 2.5%. And last year, without the wellness fee, it would have been really 2.3%, not 3.6%. So it would have been even lower over this time horizon. But for all intents and purposes, it's 2.5% through this year. Why is this important? And I'll talk about that in a minute. Because we compare our fee increases primarily to CPI and consumer price index. That's some average cost increases, for procurement of big services in the United States. This is sort of the overview of CPI. There are multiple CPI indicators you can use. We use a certain one that's really well known. It's the CPI urban income metric. This year CPI was running at about 3%, which is last year about 2.6%. You may or may not know that the federal government during the shutdown stopped calculating CPI in October. So we're using year to date through September. So I don't know what's going to happen next month, but they didn't calculate it October. So the point of this is to say that if you, and the example I use is buying a car. So if I bought a car this year, I bought the same car last year without any changes, simply by the impact of CPI, that same car would cost $30 more, or about 3%. So CPI is nothing more than the average cost of buying goods and services or labor increases from one year to the next. And so there is an impact on the university. Everything is going up to some degree. Different components of CPI will look at different rates. And you'll hear a little bit more from Melissa today on what's happening with regard to food, as opposed to energy or just general cost of goods. If you look at the average annual CPI over the last 5 years, average of CPI was in 4.1%. So if you equate this to what we've been doing on the university side, it would cost about 4% more to buy the same things last year as this year. We've been averaging about 2.5%. So the university, I would argue, has been fairly successful at trying to manage these increases by having other activities that reduce costs. Efficiencies, you stop doing certain things, we do things in a different way, we design decisions, we do whatever we need to do. So our average comparison to the actual increases is much less than the cost that the market is telling us it takes to provide the same services. What does this all mean? Here's what it means right now. And again, I want to focus on the word preliminary. This is very preliminary. These are assumptions, but they're the best assumptions we have on the table right now we can be evaluated. Dining services will likely go up 3%. If you look at last year, you'll note that they had a 0% increase last year. You just cannot pay the price at the same time. Residence Life is looking for a 3% increase for the same reasons I cited. The general fee would go up anywhere between 2.5 and 3. We're not quite sure. We're in a scenario analysis piece right now, trying to figure that out. Technology fee would not go up at all. I believe it's in the neighborhood of $700 a year, but that's not going to go up. And when you put it all together, the overall cost of expenses on a percentage basis would be about 2.5%, or 0.5% below what inflation is running at right now. So we're doing our best to hold these cost increases down, but it's very hard to do what everyone else is doing now. There is a lot of discussion right now on lab and course fees, and also this human development program fee. You know, I don't have all the fees organized yet, so I can't even tell you what they are right now, but we put the word out to the cabinet members. They sent in their ideas, and those are being looked at right now. So what will happen in the next month or so, the president's cabinet will review these fee requests. They will make a recommendation to the president will decide what to do, and then bring that forward to the board. The president has the authority to approve campus fees. The board has the authority to approve mandatory fees. And what's the difference? A mandatory fee will be the general fee increase, the board increase, because they apply essentially to all students. Course or lab fees and campus fees, if they apply to a segment of the campus or a smaller population, then the president has the authority to approve those. I will come back and do another presentation once we have more information about what direction you're heading in either way. So these are very much kind of still looking at. I think I just talked about this, but I'm here today in December I'll come back in January with the same team and give you more information about how we think things are unfolding. And then the board of trustees will formally approve the fee requests proposed by the university in February. So, that will be the kind of the final determination that happens for the year. The reason we have to do this so early is so that we can, determine the appropriate cost of attendance, which financial planning awards are based on. So if the financial aid office does not know what the cost is going to be for next year, they really can't effectively allocate the financial aid. So that's why we do it on this year frame. So I know I run through this kind of fast, but I want to ask Melissa to come up and do the campus guidance service presentation. So that will be followed by Chris, and then we'll be open to any questions.
First, I want to thank everybody for inviting me back for a second here. I was kind of shocked, honored, and surprised all at the same time. So, appreciate you. Just want to go over our diamond style survey, what we're thinking for a meal plan increases and enhancement, and just some diamond enhancements we did over the summer and this past. So the diamond style survey, I have more of the data, which I will share with the group later. Right, and Jacob has an early copy that you can send around as well. Just want to show you that we are on the right trend, meeting with SGA and other student groups, our 12% increase over last year, our healthy available foods we've been increasing year over year, nutritional value, variety, meal plan satisfaction increased by 9% over last year, and our customer service again went up over last year. So we're making all the great strides that we can, and it's due to this group and other student groups. So I do want to thank you for all your feedback. As Steve said, where your dollar goes. So your dining dollar goes on your meal plan. We're a little bit different than the university where ours is about 55 cents on the dollar. A lot of that does come, we have a lot of student workers, we have a lot of operation, lots of hours, catering, events. So we don't run a kind of standard schedule, so we need those extra dining dollars, and not coming as many students on campus that use the services tend to shift where the dollar goes. Our fee is about 19 cents. The university, that pays for the electric, the heat, the air conditioning in summer. It's a 13%, another 5 for some of those overhead costs. Our operational expense to fix equipment, extra promotion stuff for events is 3%, and like housing, if you do have a debt, then you do have to pay back, which is about another 5 cents off the job. As Steve mentioned, we did not pay an increase last year. And then for FY17, I just kind of looked at where it's projected out. But, within the piece here is a 7.8%. Next year in total is a 7.7% increase. We're looking for 3% to kind of mitigate that gap and stay where we are. And so, the programs going and all the options that, really enjoy that. And she says, we look at other ways of trying to not pass the cost off to students, where it's, the way we do different events, what we're serving on the, menu, what we can make fun and exciting. We look at kind of, more meat to order stuff and working with local farms that time of year. When we were there, we worked with EFG, we did a nice vendor care for free and all those extra partnerships to keep the costs down. This is where our current meal plan structure is, with the increase staying at FY25. This year, sorry, it looks bigger on my screen. Looking at, proposing a meal plan with a 3% increase and some caveats to it, the Nesters Unlimited thing and tweaking the name. the after the DC unlimited plan, so the 4 meals twice during regular day, 3 on the weekend, but instead of having it per meal period, it's just, 4 in 1 day, use it however you want, instead of waiting for the next meal. Listening to commuters, looking for a commuter plan that's specific to lunch when they're here, having that plan. There was the 9-5 plan, which really did not have much traction or value to it. So kind of swapping it out for more high acceptable $5 for commuters that hopefully so like use. And then looking at a 19 meal flex plan where you can use 19 meals however you want anytime on campus. Or as you look at where we compare to other universities, we are one of the lower cost meal plans compared to other state universities. And, as students, not, they don't even get some of the same luxuries or values out of some of their meal plans. Some come with $9, some don't. Most state universities don't have meal equivalents or have lower number of guest meals. So the value you're getting is far beyond most of the other institutions in the area. And if anyone wants to know or chat, I have all the data on me. I just don't bore you with it today. And that's all I got. I will go kind of fast. All right. Oh, how's that doing?
Great.
From smell the Olive Garden, like, come on. All right, so residential life, a couple of things. When I think about our budget, there are two different acronyms that are really important. The first is MSCBA. Anyone know what MSCBA stands for? Travis?
There's one else I read up on Massachusetts State College Building Association. Or Authority. I was close.
So Massachusetts State College Building Authority, these are basically like our landlords. So the MSCBA kind of works with all of the state colleges and universities, and they kind of help us when we do our budgeting. So residential life goes through kind of a two-part budgeting process. One with the MSCBA, which is kind of now, and then we loop back again in March, April to do budget for the campus. The RHTF, anyone want to take a guess? John?
Residence Hall Fund?
Yes, the Residence Hall Trust Fund, which is in essence our budget. Very well done. Thank you all. So when we think about the Residence Hall Trust Fund or the RHTF, I look at it in three different pieces. So we have our revenue, what's coming in. We have our operating expenses, or our net expenses, which I probably should have indicated, and our debt service. Now this year I actually added a fourth line. You'll see this is going from FY19 to FY25. You'll see, what do you think happened in 2021? Anything major? Maybe like a global pandemic? Okay, yeah. So you'll see that there's a little bit of a dip in our revenue, our expenses, everything like that. But what you'll notice is we're beginning to kind of have an uptick in terms of getting back to where we were prior to COVID. Couple of things to note. You'll see that our revenue line is below our operating expenses. Right now, our net expenses are around 19.4 million. That is a lot. That also includes our debt service. So that means, like Steve mentioned, we owe about 90 million. We pay roughly 12 to 13 million each year. That's a lot of money. And so when you remove that debt service, which is the third line there, the bottom line that's just above 5,000 would be kind of our operating expenses minus that debt service. So as you can see, we pay an awful lot into making sure that we're paying off university new hall and any new bonding that we might do for capital projects. And our revenue is actually quite good. But I think right now there's a narrative about, residential life is costing us money. A lot of it is this debt service. To put it even more bluntly, when we think about this idea of cents per dollar, you'll see that our debt service is around 60 to probably 62, 63 cents on the dollar. So it's a lot that we're paying towards our residence halls.
So even just getting the buildings is kind of our number one expense. Our second one, when we think about it, is all of our staffing. So part of the Residence Hall Trust Fund, it's our RAs, it's our professional staff. We also have anyone who's a maintainer, facilities folks who work within the residence halls, and then our institutional security officers or ISOs. So all of these positions, all of these staffing positions actually come out of our budget as well. So that would be kind of our second expense. And then third is utilities. So just literally keeping lights on, keeping heat going, everything like that. And you can see that even things like, residential life staff training, 0.002, right? So when you think about the amount of money that we're spending per dollar, the vast majority of it is going into our buildings, not only the structures themselves, but keeping them on, heated, functioning, and then the people who are in them trying to make sure that our staffing is good. In terms of some revenue pieces, so 98% of the revenue that we get is from room rents. This is the 5th year that we've opted for a flat rate structure. What that means is, you can have a double space in Courtney, you can have a double space in Newhall, you can have a double space in University, and you're going to be paying the same rate. So what that means is for people who come in as first-year students, yes, you get to experience the joy that is Courtney. But then after that, you're not paying that much more to get a little bit of a different experience in an apartment with friends or in a suite with friends. So that's something that we find has helped us with the retention year after year. And as Steve mentioned, the retention is really important because we want to make sure that students want to continue to live on campus and are having a good experience. As was mentioned, we do anticipate about a 3% increase. This really is just to cover sort of the basics in terms of what is happening around us and the general cost of living and what's going up. What that will equate to is about $270 for a year. So that's that 3% increase. We'll continue to do buyout options at $1,000 per semester. That hasn't changed. And a lot of the revenue that we get, aside from putting it into our debt service, we try and put into reinvesting into the hall. So, this year we've got the apartment stacks. It's not glamorous, but the plumbing is getting fixed. That is super important. So, again, putting money back into the infrastructure and what's important within the halls. What I find interesting about this, so this is a list of our sister institutions across the Commonwealth. These are rates for this year. You'll notice there are some that have an asterisk. What I had to do was create the average. So for instance, on a lot of other campuses, to have a double in Courtney would be a lower rate than a double in a university or a double in an apartment. Again, we have the same rate for all of that. So I just averaged those out. When you do that in comparison to our sister institutions, we actually have the lowest cost in terms of our room rates. So could you go to UMass Amherst and find a room for $4,000 a semester? Yes, but it's probably going to be a Courtney type of room. Why am I picking on Courtney? Could be like a Davis or a Dickinson type. But if you're going to look at like a university or a Newhall apartment or suite space, you're going to be paying a lot more. So just to let you all know that. Thank you. Snaps? Were there snaps? I'll pretend they were snapped in my mind. All right. This is what it looks like in terms of next year. So this is our current cost per semester when we think about that 3% increase, our proposed. Our standard room, so this would be a double, triple quad space for the semester would be $46.50. Again, like I said, it was $270 for the year. So you're seeing an increase of about $135 for the semester. That brings us up to $93 for the year for a standard room. Design singles, so single spaces that are built for one human, looking at $4,900 for the semester, $98 for the year. And then super singles, these are double spaces that can be bought out. Again, there's that $1,000 upcharge for the semester. Hopefully, when we have all of our spaces online, all of our apartment spaces and everything like that for next year, we'll be able to offer a few more super singles. I know students really tend to like those. But I know we've also been a little bit limited with some of our buildings online this year. But those are our proposed rates for next year. How many of you took our Sky Factor survey? Yes, I love it. So I'm gonna so we are in the process of taking all of your feedback, getting analyzing it, making sure that we can put it to good use for the spring semester. We had a phenomenal 28.9% return rate, so thank you all very much for filling that out. As you know, hopefully many of you know, we were able to do weekly drawings for owl bucks and all sorts of fun things. We also recently picked our top 3 picks. And before we get there, the last thing we needed to do was do our grand prize drawing of $500 for whoever submitted their survey response. John, you want to pick that name for us? All right, drum roll, drum roll.
$500, not Maggie yet. Mandy Menard.
Mandy Menard. Okay, you get $500 towards, I think, whatever you like. That is their prize. John also earlier picked our second big grand prize, which was the first housing pick for each class year. Yes, so rising first years. The person who is a rising first year who will get the first housing pick for the spring, Nate Boudreau Faria. Anyone know Nate?
Yay!
All right, these. Huh? All right, our sophomore, who's going to be a rising junior, Brianna McPhillips. And our senior, who's going to be a rising senior, Lauren Williams. So thank you all very much for taking our survey. We are very excited to, like I said, analyze all of the information. Happy to get our prizes out to those wonderful winners. And I think we can turn it over to any questions that you all have. So thank you.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for our guests? All right. Seeing none, thank you all. I guess. So we're gonna deviate from the events for a second. We're gonna have Jacob go with the constitutions from the rules and regs committee, and then we'll break it through and then move on to all right. So without further ado, the rules and regulations committee report, Jacob Trainer.
All right, well, I wasn't expecting to go this early, but, all right, good evening. If you don't know, the semester the rules and regulations committee has been hard at work and getting it up running. As of November 20th, about like 3 weeks ago now, we are having very important close to the Senate tonight for before I get started, I just want to talk about how I would like everyone to come into looking at this with a constitution in mind, the constitution of SGA in mind, not first life. Okay, because that's what this committee is all about. That's what voting is all about. It's all about looking at how this fits the constitution and not how you feel about the club's person. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so first up, we have the philosophy club, which the committee recommended to pass with a vote of 5 yeses, 0 no's, and 1 abstention. Next we have the Westfield State University Students for Live Music Club, or WSSLM. The Rules and Regulations Committee recommends to pass with a vote of 6 yes, 0 no's, and 0 abstentions. Next we looked at the WSU Pep Band Constitution, the Rules and Regulations Committee recommends a pass with a vote of 6 yes, 0 no's, 1 abstention. And finally, we looked at Turning Point USA, Club Constitution of Westfield State University, otherwise known as TPUSA. The Rules and Regulations Committee recommends a pass with a vote of 6 yes, 0 no's, 1 abstention. We were also presented with the School Idol Club, Current Events Club, and Fashion Club. However, we are still waiting to look at their edits for them. And those will be looked over next semester by the Rules and Regulations Committee, considering that this is our last week of school. So we'll look for the semester. All right, with recommendations down, at first, we'll move to approve the Philosophy Club of Westfield State University.
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded to the philosophy club for the state. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Aye. The club has been approved.
All right, next I move to approve the Westfield State University students for live music club.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the Westfield State Student Live Music Club. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions?
Aye.
Club has been
Abstain.
approved.
All right, next I move to approve the WSU Pep Band Constitution.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the WSU Pet Band Club. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions?
Abstain.
The club has been approved.
All right, finally, I move to approve the Constitution for Turning Point USA Club of West.
So moved.
So second, it has been moved and seconded to approve the Turning Point USA Club Constitution. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
I move for a roll call vote. This is seconded, we'll conduct a roll call vote.
I will be calling everybody's name. Just say your vote with a aye, nay, or abstain. Angelina Casella.
Same.
Zora Rivet. Please do vote. Don't just abstain unless you are, if you really don't think you should be voting. Christopher Lannon. Megan Fran. DeAngelis Ozuna Sandoval.
We can call it.
All right. Raul Rosario.
Aye.
Brenna Giuliani.
Aye.
Luke Staley. Aviana Lee Salters. Will Honorado.
Aye.
Celia Rosino.
Same.
Grant Wenhart.
Aye.
Was that?
Aye.
Alyssa Hannafin. Kaylee Afonso. Raymond Croto. Sophia Rudenko. Aiden Gomez. Fabian Morales. Lucia Sedura. Liv Carney. Ethan Haynes.
Aye.
Carly Biemendorfer.
Aye.
Coda Santos. Matthew Kusha. Ali Sutherland. Maria Renta Marrero. Motion is denied. With a 7 yes. Huh? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, crap, you're right. Justin Wald.
Aye.
Travis McLaughlin.
Aye.
EF Zeke Tamarkin.
Abstain.
Melissa Kuzmeski.
Aye.
Melissa. Oh boy. Lorraine. I'm so. I'm. My mind is like crazy right now. Lorraine. Barney.
Aye.
Jacob.
Say,
Me. Abstain.
Sorry, what did Melissa vote?
Melissa voted.
Melissa,
Abstain.
abstain.
Oh. Huh?
Did Melissa abstain vote?
Yes. Voted yes.
Vote yes.
Yes. So then,
All right.
technically, with that, it's a yes.
With a vote of 11 in the affirmative, 8 against, and 11 abstentions, the Constitution and Club have been approved.
all right, with that, I would just like to say congratulations to your college will be approved. And also a very special thank you to my rules and regulations committee this past semester. You guys have been great, and thank you for helping me out with this. Come on up.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Jacob? Jacob Costa.
Okay.
Well done.
Any further? Seeing none, thank you, Jacob. Jacob Costa.
I motion for a 15-minute recess for food.
It has been moved and seconded for a 15-minute recess. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? Motion carries. We will return at 6:40.
Guys, don't
Recording, and we are unmuted.
We gave you a little more time.
And now for your president's report, Justin Wald.
All right. Our guest early action. First off, so shooting our last meeting, I want to recognize all the hard work you've all done. This family, door knocking, being engaged, committed. We've had a wildly successful semester for SGA and it's not gone unnoticed. On multiple instances, I've had people like Dr. Kerner, Dr. Thompson, tell me how well SGA is doing and how excited they are to see what happens next semester. It's highly reflective of all the senators and the work of our executive team, which I am very proud of. So I just want to put that out there and thank you all. On a side note, not as happy as that. I do just want to put it out there. I really don't want to hear any like backhanded comments about the Franklin thing. I know some of you might be disappointed about it, but this is not a time when we disrespect other students. That's not who we are. Not what SGA is. First of all, we're not going to all students, and just be respectful. We have a list of values of the Constitution, and we can't really go around that. So I really don't want to hear anything like that. And please try not to look like SGA as an organization that does things like that. Now this next part, also not super happy, but in its own way, it's very happy. I've been wishing for the whole semester that this wouldn't happen, but it has. Sadly, just our last meeting with Tyler King and Ian. So it's kind of sad.
It's your roommates.
They're my roommates and two of my best friends. So some people I worked with for a long time now. For you that don't know, it's a little SG tradition to bring a little bit of a speech when we're leaving. Usually it happens at the end. It's not careful, but those two like to do silly things incredibly early. So when I met Ethan A, I just want to put it out there. He instantly became one of my close friends. Not just because he was science majors or because he was cats and election day watch parties, but because we share a real passion for this place at SGA. We formed a quick, genuine bond that has only grown stronger in time. And ever since he left for Washington, D.C., he's been sort of a mentor for me as he is like 30 years older than me. He worked in House of Representatives. Hope you know that. So he passed the mantle of parliamentarian on to me my sophomore year during a particularly tough time. He just kind of like texted that he went to Cancun on Texas. So he never stopped supporting me. Whenever I felt lost, he had this kind of guidance, reassurance, and wisdom that only somebody with his experience could offer. He always had my back. He's also the friend I can call and talk to about absolutely anything. I will tell you that him, Travis, and I once sat in our living room until like 3 in the morning and didn't even realize almost 3 hours went by. He's always up for a lot of deep dive in the politics. We just wrote that conversation about SGA drama. Even though he didn't run for exec this year, he's been very much been a part of it. Having 3 sweetness as exec members. So he really never left. He's like an unofficial chief of staff of policies, and he did a damn job. All I can say is this: I do not know how this Midwestern princess ended up in the state, but I'm incredibly grateful he did. Actually, do know I say what. There's truly no one I would rather have a teammate, a friend, a mentor, and someone willingly listens to me and things like that. Now, Tyler. I still have no idea how we actually met or when we actually met. Since this was freshman year, but I feel like it's sophomore year. And at this point, you'll never know who you can write because I'm partly proud to admit when I'm wrong. I've never met anybody who could be incredibly supportive, yet hilariously passive aggressive, the exact same time, the exact same differences. So it's kind of crazy, but he does it effortlessly. I'm really going to miss having someone who can whip up an entire presentation for the university's cabinet in 10 minutes after I utterly fail by doing so with several weeks' notice. And I'll definitely miss having one of the most quietly dedicated people on this campus on my team. He's truly going to be a loss for SGA. He's definitely done more for the university and the community than he wants to let on. But you know, he kind of hides what he does. And more importantly, I'll miss having Frank. He isn't afraid to be honest. You tell me I'm being stupid. Well, I still do that because, like I said, I won't acknowledge that I'm wrong. But he does. He does. Ever since that one night, freshman for sophomore year, which it actually was, we grew closer and I gained a friendship. I know that's right time. Because you can't forget or outgrow someone like Tyler King because once you're in that circle, he kind of just doesn't let you go. No. He also is unapologetically energetic, and he can take an introverted me and somehow make me extroverted in some situations. He's loyal, intentional about the people who lets in his life. No, he only does that for a select few people. And once you're in a circle, you know you found someone to show up, you're going to stand. Kind of friend that makes an impact simply by being exactly who he is, even if he is a pain when he doesn't. But I'm grateful I get to know the people that he chose and try to calm them on my end. It's like a stray dog.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Justin Wallace? Seeing, oh, Tyler King.
It was freshman year.
Sure. Any other? Seeing none. Thank you, Justin.
Sure. Vice President Support Student Life, Travis McLaughlin.
Multiple things. Alright, good evening, everyone. I don't have anything to report on as my duties of vice president of student life, but I would just like to take a moment to appreciate two individuals who contributed so much to help me personally and especially as a whole. Started my formal poetic and first off, I'd like to thank Kelly and his work, not only in his short tenure at SGA, but in every capacity he's ever served on at WSU. As a student, I can personally attest that TK is out before sunrise and rarely returns before sunset. Few people are one with the ambition, determination, and problem-solving skills required to truly make a difference on the campus. And I can safely say that Tyler is one of those people. Everything Tyler King does is above and beyond expectations. His time working in student affairs, whose numerous sales efforts, I don't even know them all, and not to mention an exemplary student. As Vice President of Community Engagement and Outreach, TK has gone far beyond the scope of his predecessors in trying to modernize SGA's presence on campus. Setting the bar far higher than I had ever imagined taking. In Plato's Republic, the ancient Greek philosopher espoused the idea that he who does not desire power is vision. Never has the context of the cult been more apparent than in the case of Tyler. Throughout the last year and this year, when pleaded with by senators and exec members alike to run for his current, he refused, citing his inexperience with SGA as a reason for it. After finally giving in, Tyler has shown that success in SGA doesn't depend on passing the maneuver. It depends on trying. Outside of SGA, Tyler is one of the funniest people I've ever met. Unafraid to speak his mind and intelligent beyond police, Tyler's an incredible individual that I'm fully grateful about. For all these things and more, thank you, Tyler King. The other individual I might say is Ethan Mix. When we chose not to run for executive from this year, sadly, few people have or ever will have the influence over SGA that Ethan has. Ethan is an auditor, a wonderful, incredible auditor. How in the world the stars aligned just the right way for a man in Dickinson, North Dakota, to find his way to Westfield, Massachusetts, is of all places is far beyond me. But regardless of certainty, I'm thankful that we have it. Principled beyond belief, Ethan is never afraid to stand up for what he believes or openly disagree with someone on an issue. While SGA parliamentarian is undoubtedly one of the least glamorous positions I exec, as we've seen reading, it's often one of the worst working, and he chose not just once, but twice to be the position partner. There's no other reason someone would choose to be called twice other than alone. His commitment to SGA is unlike any other, and despite the tumultuous times of SGA, in last year's and maybe this year, he still works with it. As a person, Ethan is smart, modest, kind, funny,
and always willing to try something new, and always seek to better result. Regardless of the miracle that brought me to Massachusetts, I'm glad to have known it, and I thank you for your time and work to make that future. Thank you for all that and more. Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Travis and Balch? He's none. Thank you, Travis. Dining Services Committee, Angelina Cassiano.
I don't really know how to follow any of that up because I'm not talking about either of you. Hey, looking up for those who don't know, today I'll be referring to the dining committee. Since last meeting got canceled by the snow day, I will be reporting for 2 different meetings. The first one being November 21st and last Friday, December 5th. So first looking back a couple weeks, we discussed that issues in the dining comments. So especially in the ice cream machines, people just stole the whole boxes right out. So also pepper shakers and salt shakers. So now we are looking into cheaper pepper and salt shakers so that people don't feel inclined, maybe. Also to reduce costs for the things that we bought. And then also we would be taking out all of the ice cream out of the box and doing like a wrap system instead. And then we also reviewed the Way to Waste event, which was an event to make students aware of how much they were wasting in the DC, so that they can just be more aware of what they take. And it received a generally neutral to positive feedback, and we're looking to do it more each semester. And then from last Friday, we had our meeting last Friday. It was very productive. It was a discussion regarding halal signage with Lorraine and the belonging committee. We clarified that while protein sources purchased are halal, we do not label the entire DC as halal. It's kitchen operations. And so Jenny from dining, she does a lot of the dietary stuff. She will be working directly with students to identify what exactly needs clear signage and clarity. So we also discussed a new and returning initiative called Global Takeover. Ideally, we want cultural clubs and affinity groups to take over the global stages in the industry and kind of bring their own events to the DC while also picking money for the food. And so Lorraine and Jenny are going to take charge in trying to get this started, and hopefully there will be the guidelines set in place so that people know like how it works, how they can get the menu items, and just make it efficient event. And then lastly, are some upcoming events and schedules. Most importantly, tomorrow, Wednesday, December 10th, is the holiday luncheon. This is happening during lunchtime from 1 to 2. It's not here, so faculty and staff can join. This menu includes a roast beef carving, chicken soup for the soul, mocktails, and delicious desserts. Also, tomorrow, the Owl Cafe will close early to encourage people to go to this holiday luncheon. And then for the rest of the semester, on December 16th, there will be the Decorate Your Own Cookies for DC. And then December 17th will be a hot cocoa bar. December 18th, all dining locations will close for the semester. And then looking forward to January, we'll have on January 2nd, the beach will open, and then January 18th, meal plans officially restart, and we also will have a Winter Wonderland dinner planned for January 26th. And that's it all.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Angelina? Seeing none, thank you. Parking Control Board, Chris.
All right, good evening. Now we're reporting on the parking control board. Meeting we had back on November 19th. The committee is chaired by Dr. Hetrick and Captain Mike Boyle. They're both being made up of various facility staff members and senior representatives on the committee. That's myself. Some background is that we work in conjunction with our field committee. We don't meet at a certain time. As needed to go over rules and regulations, or whatnot. So
So I'm happy to report that after our resolution we passed last year that A and C both passed on visitor parking, that we approved here at Senate unanimously. Um, this resolution has been really good and seen a lot of positive results. The only thing Joshua Hetrick has advised against is having students who are visitors park in or attach their visitor parking pass to their friends. So if I were to get a student to visit on campus, don't do that because then the person who actually pays to go here, so the visitor will get the ticket on their account. So if you spread that all, that'd be great. Joshua also discussed how no student, visitors included, are allowed to park at a faculty spot, staff spot at any time. We did revive a topic of conversations last year, but providing graduate assistants the opportunity to park faculty staff spots when during their working hours. For those who don't know, graduate assistants work in various departments across campus and about 4 to 5 hours of time. One of the back on bird is our graduate assistant for sale. So I express my support for this resolution to be brought to the Senate if it does go forward. And have graduate assistants park on campus during their working hours. This is especially true for the graduate assistant course man and Woodward as they right now are part of the South lot. So that's a follow up. The Woodward, especially in the English man. Printed by page of things. Main lot parking is available by random drawing to all seniors and graduate students who buy a self-loss permit over the summer before each academic year. And myself and some people in the firm are lucky enough to have main lot permit. So that's something for underclassmen to look forward to in future years. There are currently 112 main lot soft spots on campus. Those are by the Conlin, by the apartments, the back row of Lambert's lot, and then the east side of King Paul. Are main lot spots, and they're not designated. They don't have anything on the ground. They're just they're main lot, but there's like a sign there. Currently, there's 108 main lot passes in circulation, with a couple being given out next semester to those graduating early. This is the second year that the main lot permit has been offered, being revived from green path, and the board is really trying to do this in the fairest way possible around campus. So one thing the parking control board is also looking at is redesignating parking spots where Mod Hall used to be, to have that be sort of maybe a parking lot, because the building is no longer there. And this is only preliminary discussion and it's only in first stage, but I'll have more updates as the year progresses. Some clarification. I know a lot of students have asked Josh Patrick, myself, people on the committee, if the back row of Lammers, or where the Lammers lot is backstop, why there's so many students parking in it. So it's important to recognize that these are medical parking pass students. So students who have a medical parking pass to park in that area. They don't get ticketed for backstop. For a backstop campus, if there is a student parking there doesn't have another path. We also discussed an urgent need for students to pay their parking tickets. A lot of students have a lot of unpaid parking tickets. And I suggested a social media campaign through Public Safety's Instagram. Some students have upwards of 50 tickets, which is a lot. So according to the parking rules and regulations, once a student receives 3 parking tickets and leaves them unpaid for 21 days, they are eligible to have their vehicles towed. We discussed offering incentives for students to buy parking passes and offering disincentive if students don't pay their tickets, but just having a permit revoked. However, the only caveat to that is that if a student doesn't have a parking pass and didn't buy one in the first place, there's no permit revoked. I'll be sure to provide updates as we go forward into this year. And we hope to meet at least once a month. Finally, the committee is particularly looking for a commuter student or a GPS student to sit on the committee to provide perspectives on regional planning or commuter parking issues, given there's a lot out there on campus for that. It doesn't have to be an SGA member, so if anyone you know is interested, send away to Joshua Hetrick. And that's all for my report.
Any questions, comments, or concerns for Chris? Seeing none, Chris. Finance Committee, Zeke Flynn.
Pardon me, no. Well, it's fine on weekends, so, yeah. Anywho, and another day. No, so weeks ago, before Thanksgiving break on the 21st of November, the finance committee met to go over two finance proposals, which we put up. Wow, this is not good. All right. To go over two finance proposals. Since then, we had our Thanksgiving vacation, so there's no SGA meeting, and then there is snow day, so there's no SGA meeting. So these finance proposals went to the executive board to see about passing them. First is for diversity in healthcare, which was organizing a mocktail event, which the finance committee suggested to reject due to not have enough time to give them the money for their event. Since then, it went to the executive board, where it was further put to reject the proposal. As more information came out, so there's as it was revealed to be an exclusive event, meaning that it's not open to all students, which SGA is not allowed to fund. The second proposal was for the Social Work Association's Winter Wonderland, which, despite the name, was not a public event either, at least in the details of it. So the finance committee made the suggestion to reject it, which the executive board carried through as well. And
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for you? Commissioner?
I will just say, if anyone in the room is a treasurer or president of a club, you need to make your finance proposals with like enough time for them to be approved so we can get the money to you. So you don't want people getting told just to file.
How much is the amount? All right.
I think it's 15 days of the finance bylaw. I can go further, but it's 15 business days, so not weekends and not vacations. And if you're looking for funding over a conference, such as go to a conference, perhaps in Boston, soon enough where, you need to send it within without 45 days, business days again. It's the general recommendation that clubs and registered organizations send their proposals, perhaps even the year or the semester. As excessive as that seems, it's what's most likely going to see it passed. The big suggestion is to do it at the end of the year to promote it for next year, or to get it all done right at the start. First meeting planning.
Any further? Maggie?
Can you tell the group how much money is in the finance pool and how much you've awarded? To give people an idea of how much.
Yes. Well, at the start of the school year, which is also the start of the semester, the pool was sitting at $20,000. That is SGA money reserved solely to fund finance proposals. Since then, off the top of my head, I believe there's only been $250 spent, which went to a single event, which was mostly due to, even though it was not within the best time frame, it's mostly due to everyone getting used to involved and making an exception to that.
Any further? Seeing none, thank you. Vice President Support of Student Belonging, Lorraine Fernandez.
Everyone, I just have a quick update. So I'm excited to share that the Blue Key Committee will officially be starting in the spring, and I will be serving as the new chair of the committee. We'll be working on recognizing student leadership, involvement, and school spirit throughout the semester. There's an application process, nomination process. Finally, the committee will be the one that will come to the decision of the Blue Key Award recipients. These students will be honored during our end of the year SGA Meeting. If anyone is interested in joining the committee or wants to learn more, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to have you be a part of it. So the events committees, especially in the spring. What that. That's it for my report.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Lorraine? Seeing none, thank you, Lorraine. Committee on Belonging, Lorraine Fernandez.
Met last Monday, December from 5 to 6. We began on like reflections on recent events, including the Interfaith Listening Center, Interfaith Center Listening Circle, which had a great turnout. There were members of the committee that attended and shared positive feedback and encouraged all of us to participate again when it returns in spring. We also discussed the first generation listening circle planned for next semester. Our senator Aviana is leading this initiative with support from me and from Cole, our first gen thread. I'll be meeting with Aviana to outline plans and we'll share updates in the spring. So it's still a TBD, but it's definitely something to look forward to. So there were also some updates as well on the halal signage initiative. And Lena already touched on some things and just got more specific on like what my meeting was with Jenny. So I really appreciate the food services committee, science service committee, for having me last week. They've come to an agreement after talking with Jenny, who is the manager of nutrition services in the dining services, to create a symbol that will represent halal protein, because that's what they can do. Not everything is halal in the dining services. It's mostly the halal protein. So there will be a process to create a symbol. I talked to Jenny and she basically showed me. So you guys see in the DC for every food, there is kind of like a digital tag on it, and there are signs, it's dairy, it's all that. And there's a sign as well, like against the wall, that says what each symbol represents. So there will be a symbol created for the halal protein, and there will be a sign that says this symbol stands for halal protein. So, I am just kind of like in the process of getting meetings with the Muslim student organization that the students part of that club couldn't attend the dining services committee. But I'm kind of just helping them in support in having that appointment with Jenny. Because they would need to know what are the guidelines, like what are the specific foods that will have that symbol on the digital tag. So yeah, so I will just continue supporting the process and we'll share updates as soon as possible. Unity Week planning also continued. The Unity Week will run from April 6th to the 12th with daily events hosted by Community Club from Monday through Friday. Sunday will be the conclusion with Community Fest, that's what we call it. With this year's proposed theme being around the world, using like a passport style setup. So each Infinity Club will kind of have their area, their section, and the students that will participate would kind of like go to each club that have their different, either to showcase their culture, identity, their community. Then it would kind of be like a passport style. And then we agreed that community groups must meet with Jenica by the end of February to discuss event ideas, and all materials and logistics should be finalized before spring break, hopefully. And then the belonging committee is still to be determined on their meetings. We will be dealing with that once in the spring. Once I will probably have to collect availabilities again, since the spring there's a ton of different changes in everybody's schedules. So yeah, so that's so sweet. That's all.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Lorraine? Seeing none. Thank you, Lorraine. All right, parliamentarian report, Jacob Trainer. That's beautiful.
Alright, so we didn't write anything down because I didn't really find the right words to say for this stuff. But I just want to say goodbye to our good friends TK and James. TK, I met you over the summer for orientation, and instantly you were just a light in a room. Like somebody said earlier, how you could be so kind and passive aggressive in the same the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And honestly, you became one of my role models in orientation this past year. So it was great, honestly, to be cheer. Ethan, met you known you for a little bit now, for over a year. Ever since I joined Concord Review last year, Ethan Haynes really helped me break out of my shell here at Westfield. I wasn't really talking much until he told me to. Um, but really, after that report, I knew that after that meeting, sorry, I really knew that this is where I wanted to be, and this is the people that I want to be around. So I really just want to thank you both for everything you guys have done. Ethan, you better answer my Snapchats whenever we buy Pokemon cards. And yeah, really gonna miss you guys. Thank you for being a part of my life.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Jim Butcher? Seeing none, thank you, Jacob. And last but not least, new low report, Ethan Haynes.
Yeah, busy.
Hi.
Hey.
I've been procrastinating writing this since August. I've known I've had to, but I'll keep this short since it's been a long meeting. I'm also gonna try to cry because it's been a lot to me these past few years. Good evening, everyone. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving break. I hope it all treated you well, and I hope the added snow day gave you that extra breath before finals kick down our doors and just completely wreck our lives for a few days. So, if I had a nickel for every single time I stand up here and give a resignation speech, 2 nickels. Not a lot, but it's a really weird that's happened twice. The first time was back in December of 2023 when I left for Washington, D.C. for a congressional internship. That one was a see you later, I'll come back later. But this one is a good one. I will be back in May for commencement, but this is my last full SGA. Most people get their final send off in May, but for me, this semester is my time at the end of but for me, this semester is the end of my time at Westfield State. And I did not want to leave without saying a few words. When I first showed up here in 2022, I was basically a kid in a car driving across the country from North Dakota to a place I've only visited once. I didn't know a single person, I didn't know if I fit in, and I didn't know if I just made some big mistake. And now I'm leaving with memories that I wouldn't trade for anything in the world. People who shaped me in ways I didn't expect, and a campus that ended up feeling like a second home. If there's one thing I learned here at Westfield State, is that Westfield does not hand you your experience. You shape your experience here. You choose who you become here. Some of you I have known since I first got here, and some of you I may have just met last week. For those of you that I just met last week, it's been nice to meet you. Bye-bye. But there are a few of you that turned these years into something completely unforgettable. Tyler, you were the one I've known longest out of everyone who's from. And honestly, I really couldn't have asked a better person to share so many dumb and late night memories. From hanging out in the landlord's lobby with our gaggle of people to to turning our apartment into something that looked like it was ripped straight out of an interior design magazine. My mother still talks about it. You want up to be too much at this point. You made this year lighter, funnier, and just better. Whether we were stuck in a blackout playing cards or snowed in playing Mario Party, you always pulled me out of my own head, and I will never stop being grateful for that. Justin, last April, I told you your farewell was coming in December, and this is it. We started as 2 quiet first-year senators pretending we knew what we were doing. Watching you grow from that quiet first-year senator in parliamentarian to vice president of student life and now president of Student Government Association, it has been unreal, and I am immensely proud of it.
I'm proud we got to grow side by side through these years, and there's no one I would have rather have taken through that journey than you. But one of the best pieces of your life that you have done is introduce you to Travis. Travis, you're one of the smartest, funniest, most unpredictable people on this campus. I'm not lying when I make this up. You'll hit a reverse moonwalk that you don't actually land, and then pivot and talking about the Ethiopian economy is a deep dive that I've never heard of. You're ridiculous in the best way possible. Please never do that. And please keep wearing the Enron shirt. It's a great conversation starter. To the faculty and staff that's shaking a lot of part here tonight, to Dean Swaggy Balch, you are a complete force working here. Watching me work with me, advocate for students, and push this university forward and lead with resilience, it genuinely makes me believe that Westfield is a great setting for you as a new student. To Shannon Green, I know she's not here tonight, but we saw a lot of each other last year, maybe more than either of us had planned, to be very honest. But her guidance was consistent, steady, and exactly what I needed, and has not stopped the past 4 years. To Ashley, again, not in the room, thank you for trusting me as your student coordinator for the recent new student orientation session, for giving me and the rest of the student coordinators tools to run a smooth and strong orientation. Your support made that possible. To Matt, from interviewing as an orientation leader inside the Capitol where you found the green screen, to navigating last year's SGA and starting NSO sessions together, you've been a constant my entire Westfield State journey. You've been an advisor to me, you've been a mentor to me. And after December 31st of this year, I am really glad I'm finally able to call you an actual friend. There's so many more people I can thank. There's so many people in this room alone I can thank. Honestly, I can stand up here for the next hour and thank each and every single one of you individually, but I will spare you all that. But I will say this, thank you, each and every one of you. You are a part of my story. You made me believe I'm leaving Westfield just a little better than I found. And that's all I've ever wanted. Thank you.
Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for the debates? Seeing none, we can meet them. Is there any new business? Seeing none, announcements. Jacob Constant.
So I didn't say this in the report, but I did want to say a few things. I can't follow that, how emotional that was, but Ethan, I've known you for a while, and I'm gonna miss you here on campus. I'm gonna miss you quite a lot. We have had a lot of memories here, not as much as some of the other people here, but we've had a lot of memories going back to my freshman year, and it's just so crazy to think that you're just not gonna be here anymore. And it's not gonna be like the same as just like you being in DC. You aren't coming, you're only gonna be back for graduation. I'm not gonna see you anymore. And that's gonna be sad because you've been a real good friend to me, and I'm really gonna miss you. Tyler, we only really became real good friends this year, but I really like hanging out with you, and I am also actually gonna miss. I'm gonna miss hanging out with you, just hanging out in the cubes, just talking about just random bullshit, and it's so fun. Anyway, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Anyway, that's all. I'm really gonna miss you two a lot, and I hope you guys do what are doing amazing, whatever you guys do, put yourself to.
I too want to thank TK and Ethan. Both of you have shaped my experience here. TK, I know you've only been an SGA for one semester, but you have just put the pedal to the metal. You have put the drive and everything into the backbone of this organization, and this organization owes you a huge debt of credit. Ethan, you joined SGA at the same time in the fall of 2022. This is really emotional for me.
But you were one of the first people to believe in me in this organization, and for that I am forever grateful. We're gonna do so many great things, and I can't even want to say.
Just a moment.
So I just wanted to say a couple more things. So, Estelle, she was back there. She brought us candy. Very nice. She sent me this. It's about the spring 2026 building, and it has a lovely QR code. If you have any questions, anything you are concerned about, you should be sure to scan that. And then this, a student sent to me a survey about student resources on campus. If you guys want to take it and want to spend the time doing that, I recommend you do so. And then, oh, I have a surprise.
Even IT.
There is an open spot on parking appeal board next semester. One.
That after all the sadness and crying, third year of crying to grow on SGA. So just wait for May. We have cake for Tyler and Ethan. So if you want to have a piece, I'll put it in the bag and then have that. But that's all I got. Anybody else? I'll go last. Tyler Terry.
I didn't prepare anything to say. My face is on the billboard. You're never getting rid of me. Other than that, good luck. Huh? Oh, it's like. Anyway, I will say I know this has been a long meeting, but moving into our kind of team bonding stuff, a lot of it was dinner, eat more food. There's a ton, there's a whole unopened box. But yeah, we'll hang out after. Cake, there's a hot chocolate bar over there. But I know it's been a long meeting, but kind of chill out, enjoy your pajamas, and just hang out.
Great. Oh, yeah.
Just want to thank everyone for all your. This is a big poll right there.
You did that on purpose.
Actually, you did that.
I know. Just thank you all for your work this past semester. I think it's been a phenomenal semester for the Student Government Association with all of the accomplishments that you've had as a group. As we continue to grow and change the organization, I look forward to everything that you're going to do in the spring. I hope that everyone has a safe and wonderful winter break period with wherever you're going and whoever you're spending that time with. Not to be a buzzkill, after all of the nice things that people have been saying, I have been sent multiple pictures from something called Yik Yak or the digital toilet. I need everyone in this room right now, if you are on that app, to delete what has been posted. It is unacceptable what has been posted, and it had to be somebody that was in this space. So I'm not going to say anything further, but after what Justin, your official president, said up there about the values of this organization, those values are not being showcased. Thank you.
Thank you for that. DeAngelisa is going to send us off.
No.
So the senior class council is holding 100 days before commencement, so it's on February 5th next semester. So and have fun. And 156 before commencement, and I will see you two on May 15th.
Without further ado, roll call.
Angelina Casella,
Here,
Zoe Rivet,
here,
Christopher Lannon,
Here.
Megan Fran,
here,
DeAngelizo Ozuna Sandoval,
here,
Raul Rosario, Brenna Giuliani,
here,
Luke Staley,
Here.
Aviana Lee Salters, Will Honorado, Celia Rosino, Grant Wenhart,
Here.
Alyssa Hannafin, Haley Afonso, Raymond Croto, Sofia Rudenko, Aiden Gomez, Fabian Morales, Lucia Sadora,
here,
Liv Carney,
here,
Ethan Haynes.
Here.
I'm gonna miss saying that. Carly Beemendorfer, Coda Santos, Matthew Kusha, Holly Sutherland, Maria Rentas Marrero.
here.
There's no additional business. I call to adjourn the December 9th meeting until Tuesday, January 27th, 2026.
So
You know, I went, yeah, no, I dropped them on top of these super fit. Okay. But,
No. Come on, well.
If it's full of like beats.
I'm sorry.
We have to more of the qualities.